So in the gospel reading today, which talked about a couple of things, all right, but one that I want to focus on in particular, it talked about now Jesus first encountering his disciples, or those that would be his disciples, and he calls out to them and says, he started teaching, and then he says, you know what? Why don't you, as an example, put out your nets and see what you can catch? And Simon's words to him is words that I have used very, very often in my life. And I know that you have too. And that is what? We have already done that. It's not going to work. So many times in where I've worked, and then also in my parishes, I've offered up a suggestion, and the answer to that, without hesitation, is, Father, we tried that, it doesn't work. Okay, you've probably all heard that. And so what does he say? In fact, he even makes it even clearer. He says, not only is it not going to work, but we did this all night long, and we got nothing. But the following answer is the one that usually we do not hear in our workplace or that we hear in church. But at your word, I will let down the nets and we'll try. And then obviously what happens is they catch this great shoal of fish, and he does that as an example to show what is going to happen now to them after he departs. He's showing them now who it is that they're going to be. So many times in our lives, and those of us, and I'm speaking directly to those of us that are older and have much more experience, there are plenty of things that we have seen. And there are plenty of things that we have tried to do. And we've seen some of them work, and then we've seen some of them fail. And so, unfortunately, that sticks in our mind. I'm foremost in this. I got to watch myself because I am guilty of that. What we don't realize, though, is that each generation that comes is looking at it with another perspective, with fresh eyes. So normally, what happens when I say, let's give this a try, and the response is, we tried that and it didn't work. If you look deeper, we tried that in 1952 and it didn't work. Ergo, it can't work today. Many things have changed since 1952. We have automobiles that actually last longer than 10,000 miles. We have now no more party lines on our phones. Everybody's going, party line. What are you talking about? It's party line. And so when new suggestions come up, then at least as Simon says, all right, let's give it a try. Now, the role that we're supposed to step into is the role of mentorship, meaning that as this person takes that on, obviously younger person takes that whatever that is, ministry, work, whatever it is, as they take that on, we become the mentor. Hey, I know that this is what you're trying. Maybe this will help. But at the end of the day, that is now their decision about what it is that we're going to do. So, my dad, I love my dad. And I know my mom is watching. I'm going to get in trouble here. All right? So, please, no emails. All right? But my dad has many, many great qualities. All right? But one of the qualities that he does not have is the ability to look past something that is not being done according to how he sees it. All right? And so I grew up with that. All right? And so when you work with him, that's how you work with him. I mean, he is who he is, and that worked for him. The problem, though, is many times I see that in my workplace or past workplace, or I see it in the church, is I see that our mentorship is not very good. So when we ask somebody to put down the nets, and they come and they say, yes, I'm going to do that, we also then say, and here's how you're going to put down that net. You're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And it's always preceded by pedakimou, right? Because nobody that you grew up with here is older than 12 years old, right? Even though they're 45, they're still 12 years old. So when we ask somebody to cast down the nets, we have to be ready then to stand back and allow them to make a few mistakes and allow them to learn what it means to be a fisher of men. The haul is the perfect example. Okay? There were many people that could have taken the haul on, but the decision was made early on that the people that would take on the haul were that next generation, those who were in their 30s and their 40s, who didn't have much experience with this church. And under the mentorship of some of the older men here, they were able now to take that project onto themselves. Did they do it exactly as those men would have done it themselves? Absolutely not. Is the hall a beautiful hall? Absolutely. So and that encouraged them because they said, I have accomplished this. Their kids are going to look at that and say, hey, this is what your dad did. We did that hall. Take a look at that hall, how beautiful that is. So we have a wonderful history, but this gospel message of today has to speak to us who are older. And that line from the Apostle Peter is important to us. We are always ready as older people to say, let down your nets, meaning take on this job. You've got to become part of this parish. You've got to be the next leader. We always tell them that. But we don't listen to the second part that well, which is, according to your word, I will let down the nets. Meaning now that we will step back into a mentorship role and allow them to do it in the way that seems right to them in the generation that they have grown up. Because we don't have those set of eyes. They have a new set of eyes, and that's how they need to look at this. So as we move forward through the years here, and as we get more and more young men and young women interested now in stepping up and being part of this parish in a physical way and not just a monetary way, we have to remember that good mentorship is what will keep them here. And giving them ownership and responsibility is what's going to keep them here. And not telling them, no, that we can stand back and allow them the freedom that they need, but at the same time, offer that advice when it looks like that's something that they could use.